welcome to BBC Sports Africa, your #1 program that showcases the very best of African sports just for you. I'm Janine Anthony from the historical club of Ahly here in the beautiful city of Cairo. And here's what we have on the menu for you this week. We take a closer look at how the Africa Cup of Nations is inspiring Egypt's next generation of footballers.
Now the rich people, they looking and send they son outside to play in the schools in Europe to be footballer.
South Africa's Caster Semenya gets biblical as she opens up about her fight to run her own race.
If I may compare my life, I will compare my life with Jesus, so you understand? So I'm being crucified, I've been done dead, I'll never stop fighting.
A cricket game with more bite than normal? We get the lowdown on a very special match that has lions for spectators. Asylum seekers and refugees bond over football in a UK community which has become a home from home. Introducing Club Together. Sit back and enjoy Armchair Expert Reloaded as our expert attempts our rapid-fire sports quiz. We are so excited to have you join us on BBC Sports Africa from the historical Ahly Sporting Club, which is home to the African record-breaking continental champions with 8 continental titles to their name. Now, we are, of course, in the midst of the Africa Cup of Nations here in Egypt, where starman Mo Salah is more than just a player. He is an icon. But the journey from being a Liverpool player and, of course, being the African Ballon d'Or didn't start easy. His journey from humble beginnings began at the age of 14, where he would take a 4-hour daily trip just to get to his training camp. Now, many youngsters aim to follow in his footsteps, so we're here to find out if it has become much more easier for them.
I want to be a striker and to play in Barcelona.
My dream as a football player to play in any Europe team, like in the England League, Liverpool.
Like children all around the world, these youngsters from Cairo dream of playing on the biggest stage. Twice a week they make the 30 minutes journey to Dreams Academy. For Farouk and Yassine, brothers of 8 and 14 years old, training comes straight after school because they are obsessed by football. Parents have to pay around $40 a month to send their children to the academy, that in a country where the minimum monthly wage is set at $120.
We took the second place in the UV League about 2 months ago, and I took trophies in my school. And the next step is going to a club and take trophies with them.
Not everyone is so lucky. Egypt's footballing king Mohamed Salah traveled for daily long trips to achieve his dream.
When I was young, I used to go like 4.5 hours and come back from my village to play in Cairo and come back. It was not easy, but I suffered a lot for that.
There is no doubting Salah is now a huge inspiration.
Kids here in Egypt, of course, they are crazy about Mohamed Salah. Everyone has saying his name in streets, his t-shirts, his also hairstyle. Everyone in Egypt doing this.
You can find in Cairo and elsewhere in Egypt a lot of training grounds like this one. But beyond the competition between academies, what is the Egyptian FA's plan for its next generation of football players? Since winning the Under-20s Cup of Nations in 2013, Egypt's youth teams have struggled. That success took them to that year's Under-20 World Cup, but Egypt have not appeared on the global stage since. They've only qualified for one of the 3 African championships since their title, a direct result of a bid to save money.
In Under-17, we didn't make a selection team for this age, because in Africa the player, it's bigger more than our player, Then we expense money, we prepare team, and after that we go to, from the first game, we eliminate.
But there are high hopes for the U23 team ahead of the African Championships held in Egypt in November.
We have a good generation under 23 to go to the Olympic Games and go to the World Cup. The next competition we're gonna be here in Egypt in November. I think we won this tournament.
What about those people outside the Egyptian FA trying to guide the next generation? It seems they are looking outside of Africa for their inspiration.
I try to do something that we actually bring some football mentality from Europe, from countries that are really well in football.
The European influence is now a huge factor at the bottom of Egypt's footballing pyramid. Barcelona, Liverpool, PSG, Feyenoord and Anderlecht all have their own academies looking for the next Salah, which means Egyptian giants will miss out.
Before, the rich people, they didn't let their son play football. Now the rich people, they looking and send their son outside to play in the schools in Europe to be footballer like Mohamed Salah.
And almost by himself, Salah is changing the way Egyptian society views football.
Now, this is a country that loves its football. So to give us a sense of the impact of these current football stars on the future greats of Egypt is Mohamed Sarakaddin, who is a board member with Ahly. Now, Mohamed, first of all, tell us, what is the sense of pride Egyptians feel over Mo Salah?
It's making all of us proud.
Yeah.
It's 2 years now with Liverpool, and he's, I think he's one of the best players worldwide now. But the kids, I think the kids like seeing Mo Salah as a role model now.
Yes.
They want to have his same haircut. They want to have like support him in all his games with Liverpool or with the national team. He's a great person, as morally and as also as a talent, one of the best players worldwide.
Do you believe that the Egyptian football community is doing enough in finding the next Mo Salah?
I think we are not doing enough. We have to do more. It should go to the strategic planning more for the youth, for raising the youth. We have to have like a long-term plan, how to raise up our youth mentally and physically, how to give the education a big importance and concern, not only playing the sports. So I think we have to invest in our youth more than we invest in our infrastructure.
Thank you very much. So there's still loads more of AFCON coming up in the show, so Mohamed will still be here with me.
Okay.
Now, back in May, Olympic 800-meter champion Caster Semenya lost a landmark appeal against the world ruling body of athletics, IAAF, over a rule that seeks to restrict the testosterone level in female runners. Now, the South African is still fighting this charge, but in a frank interview with the BBC, she opens up about this long-running saga and the effect it's had on her both physically and mentally. Just take a listen to this.
I think I'm in this world for a reason. I think I'm a living testimony. I would say I'm a savior, if I may say. So if I may compare my life, I will compare my life with Jesus, so you understand. So I'm being crucified, I've been done dead, I've been told, called by names, I've been called by this and that. I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still standing. I'll never stop fighting, you understand.
Your lawyers put out a very strong statement as to the impact that these regulations had on you in 2011. Just tell me, for people who aren't aware, what impact it had on you physically and mentally?
Of course, that does destroy a human, big time. Now you want to drug people, so why do you have to drug someone? So you want them to fit in. There's nothing like that in life. At the end of the day, it destroys mentally, physically, and then you feel like you're not welcome. Some of the athletes are not like me. They cannot fight these battles, you understand? Someone can suicide themselves, some they can hang themselves, you understand? Those are the kind of effects, you know, that they play, you know, in other people's lives. When you are born, you are identified as a woman or a man, nothing else. You do not say we categorize men because they've got long legs, they've got long arms, others are short. You know, you don't categorize them like that. You categorize them as a woman and man. So those are the things that people should take, you know, in consideration. If you're gonna talk about medical terms, that's what complicates things.
The core value for the IAAF is the empowerment of girls and women through athletics. The regulations that we are introducing are there to protect the sanctity of fair and open competition.
Whenever you're one of those girls out there racing and you know that you don't stand a chance of medaling, that's very tough. I think of the testosterone level that I have and the testosterone level that they have. It's just incomparable, really. But ethically and as a human, it's so hard. Those girls were born girls, and my heart goes out to them because it's not an easy place to be. To be honest, I'm still mixed about it. I've met Caster Semanya a few times, raced against her a few times. She's lovely, lovely girl, and she just wants to run.
This legal battle that you're going through, you're the one fighting the fight against the IAAF for anyone who may be affected by this ruling. How important is it for you to fight that fight for you and for others?
I think here we were talking about human rights. It's wrong, you know, to judge people. It's wrong to discriminate people, and also to divide people. We are all human. We are born the same. It doesn't matter what differences that we have in our bodies. Sports unite people. You know, it speaks to the youth in the language that they understand.
Under no circumstances with this ruling will you do this again. You won't take any drugs.
No freaking way, man. I was still young then. Like I said, I'll say I've been used. You know, if you're going to discriminate, you're going to classify, then it's going to be a problem. So I know my right. I'll always fight for my rights. So it's up to the Supreme Court or those guys who create laws. I'm never going to stop fighting till I win this battle.
Good talk there from Caster Semanya. We are live at the Africa Cup of Nations, where the BBC brings to you very best of the biggest African football jamboree. So head over to our BBC website, social media as well, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, so you won't miss a moment of this historic competition. That's it for part one. We're back in a moment right here on Sport Africa from the BBC. Welcome back to BBC Sports Africa. I'm Janine Anthony and I'm still here at the Ahly Sports Club and I'm standing just beside the godfather of Ahly called Salah Salim. Now, when boundaries are hit in cricket, eager fans are there to collect the ball. But imagine when not going to collect the ball is somewhat dicey because the ball fell close to a wild animal. Well, that's what teams encounter at Kenya's annual Last Man Standing Rhino Cup. It's quite the competition as it's played in one of the country's wildlife parks.
I've played cricket in a lot of places around the world, but this definitely tops the list.
At first glance, there's nothing odd about this cricket game. Batsmen, bowlers, stumps, field dimensions. But take a closer look. The location is one of a kind. Here, players keep one eye on the ball and the other on elephants, lions and other wild animals.
A couple of times I was down on the boundary looking behind my back to make sure that there wasn't anything coming for me, but yeah, I think the Rangers have done a good job so far.
And it is not just the foreign players who approach the game with extra caution.
When the ball is hit towards where the animals are, you have to think before you run for the ball first of all.
For 5 years, teams have come to the Orpajeta Wildlife Conservancy in central Kenya, not for a safari, but the ultimate cricket game.
When I first came here for this year's tournament, there was just so much wildlife all around here. Big herds of buffalo, which, as you know, are the most dangerous animal in Africa, and does really delay proceedings.
While trying to hit the ball, make sure you move your front leg towards this ball. It's coming.
Cricket is not a very popular game in Kenya, and bringing a tournament to the middle of a wildlife reserve might put many people off. The idea that a pride of lions, a herd of elephants could lead to the stoppage of a game could be a bit frightening for some. But to those who come here, it has its own allure.
It is my first time to come here and I have had a lot of fun. I was an umpire, and even when it wasn't time for me to umpire, I'd request to switch with someone else so that I'm always in the midst of the action.
It also attracts spectators who come for the best of two worlds.
Our driver was just telling us that this cricket event was going on today, and it's just amazing to see it out here.
I'm actually on honeymoon with my husband, so we find ourselves here in this incredible landscape watching a game of cricket.
Oh, it's fantastic. So I'm actually here on safari. I was originally born in Malawi. I don't know much about cricket, I'll admit that, but I love seeing the animals and love seeing the sport going on kind of in this environment.
But this match is about more than just attracting new fans and tourists to the sport. The Orpajeta Conservancy was home to the last surviving male northern white rhino who died last year. This tournament is to help combat rhino poaching by fundraising for the protection of the species, which can be quite costly.
And all the money raised through their tournament entry just helps Orpajeta. The security cost per rhino is about $800 a year, and there's over 150 rhinos here.
The tournament has helped raise over $100,000 towards charity projects, including rhino conservation. In Kenya, when people want to use sport to send a message, they think of athletics, football, rugby. These are the more popular sports. Why did you choose cricket?
Everyone knows how endangered rhinos are, and Kenyan cricketers in general are becoming an endangered species as well.
In 2003, Kenya reached the semi-finals of the Cricket World Cup. Today, the country has dropped to the lower ICC World Cricket League ranks. One of the regular local teams at the last male standing Rhino Cup is a development side, the Obuya Cricket Academy.
It helps the development sides because right now we are looking at the future of Kenyan cricket in the next 5 years. And as you can look, most of the teams playing here are development sides between the ages of 8 years and 20 years.
Nairobi-based Canby's Sports Club won the title this year, but the biggest winners of this tournament are its local residents who may not care much about the games, but are its biggest beneficiaries.
Hello, it's Gehad Orabi. I'm an Egyptian sports journalist. I'm a Zamalek fan and also a Golden State Warriors fan. My favorite moment in AFCON 2019 is the opening ceremony, and I'm really glad that Egypt hosted something big like this.
Okay, Gehad, your time starts now. What was the scoreline in the opening Cup of Nations match between Egypt and Zimbabwe?
1-0 to Egypt.
Correct. Name the reigning men's singles champion at Wimbledon.
Novak.
Novak Djokovic is correct. Which Ivorian player won 4 consecutive CAF African Footballer of the Year awards between 2011 and 2014?
Yaya Touré.
Correct. Which country's football team is nicknamed the Eagles of Carthage?
Tunisia.
Correct. Name the oldest player ever at the Africa Cup of Nations.
Isam El Hadari.
Correct. Where is this year's Athletics World Championships being held?
Pass.
It's in Doha, Qatar. How many countries have won the Cup of Nations? Is it 12, is it 14, or is it 16?
It's 14.
Correct. Who are the 2019 CAF Confederation Cup champions?
Zamalek.
Correct. Who finished second in La Liga last season?
Atletico Madrid.
Correct. Good score. Gehad, that was a good round. Congratulations.
It was nice.
Well done, Gehad. Now, Mohammed joins me for more. Now, Mohammed, we're obviously here at the historical Ahly Stadium, which, of course, in 1959 hosted the Africa Cup of Nations final. It is steeped in history. What is the role of Ahly, in the lives of Egyptians?
Like, Ahly is more than a sports club. It's one of the oldest clubs in Egypt and in Africa. We are not only serving like football or other sports teams. We have a social integration with our community, with our fans, with our members in the 3 different branches of the club. So we always focus, rather than football, in the social development and social integration. We have very successful sports teams, like in volleyball. We are the best in Africa as well in the volleyball. In the handball and the basketball, we are competing all the time to be one of the best, and we achieved many African trophies in handball and as well in basketball. We have other games like gymnastics as well as karate, and we have different sports teams.
I know this question gets asked a lot, but how important is it in terms of these clubs producing the next generation of Egyptian sporting stars?
As I mentioned, we don't only focus on raising our youth or our kids in the different sports teams physically, but we also teach them how to be raised mentally, and we give a very important for their education, for how to raise them up in a good educational manner.
Yes. And that is really very important for young stars from Egypt. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Now, just before we go, we have a story of a football team that's formed by a group of asylum seekers and refugees in England. Now, founded in Middlesbrough by the Middlesbrough Football Club Foundation and the Methodist Asylum Project in 2017, about 40 men come together who have decided to seek asylum in England to train weekly. These men have left their families far away to come to the UK to seek refuge, and club football gives them a sense of friendship, a place to form this friendship, as well as a sense of belonging.
Here is like a family, because it's like a community, so we share some ideas, fun, and playing football. It's made me feel happy to be here. It's like my second home. It's nice here, and the people are nice and lovely. Yeah, I'm proud to be here. It's really hard. I grew up in Somali, then I came here 2016 and I seek asylum. It's quite hard because the first priority is family.
It's good, because they have this community. They help people, a lot. Bring people together, which is good. Very important to build community. People can come here and doing exercise, whatever. Keep fit and feel happy,
This really warms my heart. Would like to hear from you as always. So get in touch with us on Facebook or Twitter on anything you've seen in this program. Or you can head over to our BBC Sports Africa website where you can catch some of these pieces again, as well as get updated on the Africa Cup of Nations taking place here in Egypt. I want to say a big thank you to my companion this week, Mohammed from Ahly, and to you, our viewers. I can't wait to see you again next week. So make it a date. I'm Janine Anthony and I'm signing out from Ahly saying shukran.